As an owner, I love the Breeders' Cup Win You're In series.
To win one of these challenge series is a way that we kind of map out our schedule throughout the year with our horses.
If you win one of the challenge races, you have a very good horse.
The King George, which is our Win You're In race, provides the top middle distance horse in Europe. We saw Highland Reel run in both races.
We know when we show up at the Breeders' Cup, we've got the world to beat, not just everybody in the United States. Breeders' Cup Challenge, win, and you're in.
Royal Ascot is just around the corner, the jewel in the crown of the entire British flat season. But of course, one of the highlights of the Royal meeting is the International Challenge, with representatives this year from the US, from Japan, from New Zealand, Australia and throughout Europe. And this year sees the second year of the Breeders' Cup Challenge Series, 4 Win You're In races in which those horses heading to Santa Anita, this year's event, live and exclusive on Sky Sports Racing, can set the launch pad for their season. 4 races which we'll have a look at in the company of Jason Weaver here in the studio, starting, Jason, with the Queen Anne. Opening race, opening day, and this year a very open look to it as well.
Oh, what a fantastic way to kick us off for the meeting. And yeah, it's around about 4-1 best price the field, so it's got a very open look but an incredibly deep field.
And one of the key contenders is Libravido, who's had a stable change, would have been a French representative last year, now with Aidan O'Brien. And this horse really seems to have been a little bit unlucky, I guess, so far this season.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think behind Mustachary in the Lockinge at Newbury, he was held up at the back of the pack, and he came through very fast and late, but he was far too much out of his ground, and for that reason, and hailing from the trainer-jockey combination of the season, if you like, or of the past few years, he's going to be high up in the market.
Yeah, and talking of horses who've gone on from Royal Ascot to the Breeders' Cup, we had Mustachary and I Can Fly, who both contested the Breeders' Cup Mile. They were down the field after maybe a long season and some good performances throughout the season, but there was no mistaking the dominance of Mustachary's performance in the Lockinge.
I think that he's got better as the years have progressed. He's a 6-year-old now, Mustachary, but still not got that many miles on the clock. It was great to see him get his head in front. He beat Lawrence by 2.5 lengths when we saw him. The form behind Zabeel Prince at Newmarket, his reappearance run, that looks even stronger again now, doesn't it, with that form boosted since.
Yeah, and of course the winner, who also run at Royal Ascot, who just in there at the Breeders' Cup Expert Eye. Barney Roy, a horse who's had a bit of a hiatus, failed stud career, back on track with 2 performances so far. And that win last time in France, Jason, to me, just showed a few signs that he's got that old kick and that turn of foot, which of course saw him a former St James's Palace winner. Yeah, 122
was his top peak rating, if you like. He sits on a perch of 115 at the moment. His reappearance behind Zaki was a really good performance, considering how rusty he was going to be. And you like this, Gina, that initial kick to go and get through that gap and win.
Yeah, really smart performance, I thought, to show he's still got that little bit of group class. The likely winner of the Queen Anne for you, Jason?
I think that you'd be hard pushed to say that Mustachary is still not on the improve. Libravido will be short. I love that horse that we've just seen there, though. Barney Roy, I just feel that he's got a little bit more to offer.
OK, well, let's move on to the Prince of Wales, which is the feature event of the Wednesday. And what a race it is shaping up to be, should we see all of the key pretenders line up. Crystal Ocean and Massar, it looks like both of them leaning towards this target rather than the Hardwick. The market headed by Sea of Class at 5-2. The Arc runner-up, we've got Magical, who's 11-4. Crystal Ocean for Sir Michael Stout, 5-1. Voldguy, 6s. And last year's Derby hero, Massar, at 8-1. But Magical is a filly who we saw at the Breeders' Cup last year, pushing Enable all the way to the line in what was probably one of the performances of the season. And this really advertised this filly as a top-notcher, and she's done nothing to really dispel that this year, Jason.
She's incredibly tough, has won 7 of her 15 races. She very rarely shies away from Group 1 company either. Her reappearance form this year, Gina, has been spectacular. spectacular. Once at Naas and twice at the Curragh, the latter of those up in Group 1 company. And she was explosive, she really was. It was such an easy victory, but I think a few people ran scared of her as she went off a very short price.
And it's not only this filly, Magical, that gets the sex allowance, but Sea of Class as well, who went from strength to strength last season, culminating in an unlucky but brilliant performance in the arc behind that same rival, Enable.
This was some performance, you know, from an awful draw. James Doyle managed to get her into what I thought was a decent position. He rode her for luck, and she put up a Herculean performance to try and close in Enable. She's come an awful long way in a short time, Gina, hasn't she? You know, with limited experiences or tries out on the track, she still comes under the could-be-anything banner. And is she just that superstar, that real top notcher that the William Haggas team have been waiting for?
Yeah, and she's done it on the top stage already in the Irish Oaks. She's a Classic winner and a Yorkshire Oaks winner as well. Now, James Doyle has been on board in all 6 of her starts, but should Charlie Appleby's Massar, last year's Derby hero, line up as first jockey to Godolphin, he could be faced with a bit of a conundrum.
Yeah, he's got to. He will have to ride Massar if he goes in there. He's contracted to ride for Godolphin. Obviously, with William Buick off with a head injury at the moment, that has opened up the door for James Doyle. It's great to see a Derby winner back on track. I'm sure that lots of people weren't really expecting him to get back to the track even. Been doing a huge amount of work on the treadmill back in Dubai over the winter, so Charlie said that he could gauge exactly to the centimetre, if he wanted, how much work he was actually doing.
Well, Massar, hugely exciting if he does line up. We've got the likes of Crystal Ocean in the mix as well. Quite a lot of horses in here, though, Jason, that are sort of dropping back in trip, if you like, from the 1.5 miles. How do you see it tactics-wise panning out? I
think that with Crystal Ocean being pointed here, that tells me that Sir Michael feels he's got quicker. Interesting jockey booking, of course, with Frankie Dettori on board, so he's bound to be tight in the market. But could it be the spare ride of all spare rides? Sea of Class just goes the way of some jockey, some lucky rider is going to throw his leg across her. She might just have that turn of gear to beat this lot.
Yeah, she goes in the Prince of Wales, the feature event on the Wednesday. Now, it's also very exciting to see the juveniles, and this is an area that the US have traditionally done very well in, courtesy of Wesley Ward. And the Norfolk Stakes could well be the launching platform for those heading to the Breeders' Cup later in the year, because this is where we see a favourite in Sunday Sovereign at 5-1, an American Pharaoh colt, one of the US challengers, 6-1, Anna's Fast, also 7-1. Pistoletto is in there at 8. And once again, Jason, we have a really strong challenge from the US, courtesy of Wesley Ward. Maven, chief amongst them, it seems.
I think so, yes. Wesley Ward's runner was rocket fast as usual on racecourse debut. This is 4.5 furlongs on a fast track. It was only 6 runners. He had the blinkers on for his first start. Now, don't worry about that. Over here, we'd be saying it's a sign that the horse is not concentrated. Wesley believes putting the blinkers on keeps them calmer until later on when he lets them see everything and really they can open up. So, look, he's a fascinating contender. He will be respected because he comes from Wesley's team. He didn't exactly hit the line that strong. I know they went fast very early, so it's going to be a different test in the Norfolk.
Yeah, another horse that there's been plenty of chat about is Anna's Fast, who's run at Keeneland once. She's been burning up the track in the workouts, supposedly, as well. You always hear the rumours pre-race. But interestingly, he's trying to win this again with a filly, as he did with Shang in last year's event.
Yeah, and she probably was a little bit more explosive. She cantered round upon the front end. Watch her open up. You nearly got to put a net at the end of the track to slow her down, Gina, because she opens up to win by 5.5 lengths in the end. Again, she went off at 130 odds-on favourite. One of my favourite riders stateside on board, Tyler Gaffalione. Fantastic rider, but he didn't have to be at his best here. She's the one for me of the 2 Wesley runners in the lineup.
Yeah, didn't move a muscle. Now, there were high hopes for Lady Pauline, who, unlike Wesley's other runners, came over for a prep run at Ascot at the start of May. Came a little bit unstuck, and it was Ventura Rebel for Richard Fahey who picked up the pieces, or is he a genuine contender for this?
I was lucky enough to see him in the flesh, and when you talk about a ready-made juvenile, he was exactly that. So, yes, he was forgotten about at the back of the pack. Lady Pauline, who was up on the front end, we were all expecting that explosive display from the American Raider, and at 4 to 11 it didn't happen. But the way he has knuckled down in the closing stages, as far as being fit, ready and hard, Gina, that's going to be key with him. You know, any chink in anybody's armour, he's going to find it out, and I expect him to be at least in the first 5.
Yeah, and he suits a stiff track, clearly running on all the way to the line. And Ventura Rebel, now under a change of ownership, represents a pretty strong challenge for the British-trained contenders. But will it be the US ones that come out on top for you, Jason?
They have a strong hand, obviously, the Americans again, and the likes of Arizona. There are so many with a chance in for the speedsters, the juveniles. But I have to say, Anna's fast. They would have had to put a net up at the end of the straight to slow her down when she won on her debut.
Well, the fourth of those Breeders' Cup Win and You're In races is the Diamond Jubilee on Saturday. A race for the sprinters over the 6 furlong trip, and it is the James Tate-trained Invincible Army that heads the market. 2 from 2 so far this season. He's 7 to 2. Strong French challenge, though. Inns of Court and City Light. The old boy, the Tinman, is back for more. He's 10 to 1. And Blue Points is also in this market, and for the King's Stand as well at 7 to 1. But as far as the British-trained contenders go, it's this horse who's come to the fore so far this season. Yeah,
and he's, I don't know, is he always underestimated when he goes to the track? I think he's that sort of horse. Now, he had a really, really good profile, pretty busy 2017, had a good year last year, but he's been in sparkling form so far this time round. Little bit of a savage at home, Gina. He's such a sweetheart from a jockey's point of view to ride. He's very easy. You can put him where you want him, and that's going to be an added thing in his armoury. It doesn't matter which way the race is run. A jock can ride him anyway. But you wouldn't want to be down on the floor next to him. I think he's had, the lad who rides him out has had a bit of his finger off, nasty little scar under the eye. The fitter and the more racing he gets, the more savage he is.
Oh. Great, I'll look out for him in the paddock.
Stay away from him in the paddock.
Absolutely. There's a strong French challenge as well, though, this year. I was really impressed with Inns of Court, who beat City Light last time at Maison Lafitte. City Light, of course, who's run very well in this before.
Yeah, City Light ran and got beat a short head, didn't he, last year? Now, on this particular occasion, typical of a French sprint, they didn't go overly fast, and it turned into a little bit of a real dash for home. But it was a smart performance. The French always come over and they are a little bit underestimated in the sprint division. That's only because towards the end of the year we go over with a boatload of sprinters and we seem to dominate the Prix de l'Abbé towards the back end of the year. But no, these are two tidy types. I'd probably say that City Light, that reappearance run was a bit of an eye catcher.
Yeah, Inns of Court and City Light then. The French contenders, anything else that catches your eye in the Diamond Jubilee?
Listen, it's going to be... I wouldn't be surprised if we get a few horses that are going to try and back up and do 2. We've seen that before. It's very, very deep. I would love to see Invincible Army. James Tate, as yet, is yet to have a Royal Ascot winner. He's had very, very good horses all over, but just maybe the underachiever, or the horse we always tend to forget about, is Invincible Army.
Yeah, well, good luck to James Tate. He's had a sparkling start to the season. And all 4 Breeders' Cup Challenge races, the second year of this, will potentially launch the springboard to Santa Anita at the end of the season, which you'll be able to watch live and exclusive here on Sky Sports Racing, as you will Royal Ascot as well, which kicks off on Tuesday, the 18th of June, the showpiece event of the entire British flat season. And here's hoping we get another sparkling week here live on the channel.
As an owner, I love the Breeders' Cup Win in Your In series.
To win one of these challenge series is a way that we kind of map out our schedule throughout the year with our horses.
If you win one of the challenge races, you have a very good horse.
The King George, which is our winning in the ring race, provides the top middle distance horse in Europe. We saw Highland Reel run in both races.
We know when we show up at the Breeders' Cup, we've got the world to beat, not just everybody in the United States. Breeders' Cup Challenge, win, and you're in.